feel the betrothal in the ancient wedding.
Well, when you think about the Galilean disciples, they understood exactly what it was saying regarding these things. They were familiar things.
The illustration was entirely clear to them. When Jesus said that, his Galilean disciples at the Last Supper heard only one thing: wedding.
In fact, this might explain why later in the gospel records, the disciples asked Jesus only when the events of the last days would take place, and not why. Because as Galileans, they likely had already made the connection, especially given Jesus' first recorded miracle, which took place in the town of Cana, when he turned water into wine at a Galilean wedding.
And I find this most fascinating, that the first miracle Jesus ever performed was at a wedding. And that wedding had the same cultural dynamic that Jesus was describing when he was explaining to his disciples about his soon return.
But the conclusion of the betrothal was merely the first step on a years-long journey to an unimaginable conclusion.
Now the betrothal ceremony is finished, and the families, rejoicing, partying in the streets, go back to their houses. But this is just the beginning now of an entire year of preparations that goes into making the way for the wedding.
And though technically the bride and groom are now united as one under a new covenant, the real work only now begins. The groom must leave his betrothed, where they will live apart until the day of their wedding feast. In fact, the groom is now responsible for all of the preparations for the day he will be reunited with his bride. Over the following months, he will acquire materials to build a new room onto his father's house, along with crafting new furniture such as tables and stools. He'll negotiate for required items such as oil lamps, rugs, and dishes that will be used in the wedding feast that will take place in their new home. And scholars have now discovered that the theological implications of this period in the wedding held profound importance regarding the first coming of Christ. You see, before Jesus' crucifixion, he warned his disciples that he too would have to leave them. Jesus tells them,
I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also.
I'm going to prepare a place for you. This is key, especially when we think about the first century Galilean experience and culture. I'm going away. A Galilean would have understood that perfectly to mean that he's going to go away to prepare a new home. He's going to go prepare a place for his bride, personally. And then Jesus said something that they all understood. I'm going to come back and get you, that where I am, there you may be also.
But then he's not